Here with reaction, Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy, Homeland Security Advisor Stephen Miller. First, your reaction to Robert De Niro. I don't know. If it was me, I think I'd be hiring an attorney, and I'd be looking at suing for defamation. Number two, the master ICE tracker that they're putting on a website nationwide. Oh, that's going to make it really safe for ICE agents.
Well, Robert De Niro is a sad, bitter, broken old man who's mostly enraged because he has not made a movie worth watching in at least 30 years. Probably the longest string of flops, failures, embarrassments. This man has been degrading himself on camera with one horrific film after another for my entire adult life. And he's not taken seriously by anybody, not by his family, not by his friends, not by his community. He's a shell of a man, and everyone disregards everything he says. But let's talk about the threats to ICE officers. What we are seeing from the radical left, from the Democrat Party, is a direct frontal assault, attack on federal law enforcement, on the United States Constitution, and on the bedrock principle that the federal government is the supreme law of the land, that the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. You have Democrats in New York City, for example, encouraging the rioters who are assaulting ICE officers, removing criminal aliens from their communities. You have Democrats trying to create tracking apps to tell the criminals, the fugitives, the rapists, the killers, the cartel members where and when ICE is going to be. You have Governor Pritzker trying to get ICE out of his city to protect illegal alien monsters who are committing crimes against children, against women, instead of protecting American citizens. This is a party that has embraced full-scale insurrection against the laws of the United States. You look at that arrest in Canal Street, for example, those 9 individuals, all illegal immigrants from Africa, almost all of whom were released into the country by the Biden administration. You have among them dozens of arrests, forgery, counterfeiting, drug dealing, narcotics trafficking, assault, battery, theft, domestic violence. And Democrats are saying these illegal aliens caught and released by the Biden administration not only should stay in our country, but they'll violently attack any federal officer who tries to remove them. And then more breaking news reported out by Fox's own Bill Maloogian. 3 people just died in California, killed by an illegal alien on the road, driving a semi-truck that was allowed into the country, caught and released by Joe Biden, and put on the road by Gavin Newsom. How much more blood has to be spilled by Democrats, Sean, before this madness stops?
Well, do you think this rhetoric is incitement? Do you believe that this is aiding and abetting? Do you believe that this tracking system is putting a target on the backs of law enforcement?
Yes, I believe it, and I know it. I talk to the ICE officers every day. You know, the director of ICE, as an example, Todd Lyons, they posted not only his address, but schematics of his house online to instruct terrorists on how to kill him in his home while he slept. And that's what we're up against, Sean. But President Trump will not be deterred. He's made D.C. safe. He's made Memphis safe. He's going to make Chicago safe and Portland safe, and he's going to make America safe for all Americans.
And they've been targeting you and your family, too. This has to end. And if you're aiding and abetting, frankly, I think those people should be arrested. Stephen Miller, thank you.
President Trump breaking records, important records, at our southern border. Since Inauguration Day, the administration has deported over 515,000 illegal aliens. 1.6 million have self-deported, and 485,000 have been arrested. Now, that's a stunning 180 from the previous administration, who flat out denied a crisis and promoted open borders. But it's clear Americans have had enough. A new poll shows 40% of U.S. adults think all illegal immigrants should be deported, regardless of whether or not they have committed crimes other than illegal immigration. Now, 40%, according to many polls, is low on the number of Americans that actually want to enforce our laws against illegal immigration. But this comes as the White House is also looking to reform U.S. asylum system. It's an important milestone, and we've seen a high price tag to migrants and asylum seekers in other parts of the world. Case in point, the Netherlands. 2016 data shows that while migrants arriving from countries like the United States, UK, and Japan, brought in more money than they took out, asylum seekers from, for example, the Middle East and Africa are costing Dutch taxpayers more than 400,000 euros over the course of their lifetimes. It matters, as it turns out, from where, from whom. And they're having that play out before their very eyes in Ireland. Their citizens are revolting after an asylum seeker was accused of sexually assaulting a young 10-year-old girl. We're going to get to that story and have more on that a little later here on The Will Cain Show. But it does offer us the question, what is the cost of not just illegal, but legal migration here at home? Well, for Democrats, that's the hill they're going to die on when it comes to the government shutdown.
Ours was a clean CR. We call theirs a dirty CR, and you all know why. Because they added $1.5 trillion in new spending that would be a mandate, including hundreds of billions of taxpayer dollars for health care for illegal aliens.
On day 22, and no end in sight. But some Democrats are finally starting to say the quiet part out loud.
Shutdowns are terrible, and of course there will be, families that are going to suffer. We take that responsibility very seriously, but it is one of the few leverage times we have.
Your suffering is leverage. That's what you just heard from a Democrat. And leverage for what? Leverage in service of what cost to the American taxpayer? Increasingly, the answer on that cost and in service of what is people who are not from America. Now, why would Democrats be seeking to serve not the people that vote for them, nor the people that pay taxes, nor the people truly invested in the project that is America? Why would they be seeking to help others? Well, part of that is because they're serving the radical end of their party. According to The Hill, a second person familiar with the political dynamics within the Senate Democrat caucus said centrist senators are fearful of breaking with leaders while party activists are planning anti-Trump rallies. We would have enough votes to reopen the government if people were not terrified of getting the guillotine. The guillotine. What is this? The French Revolution? Are far-left activists like AOC the Jacobins? And that's who Democrats are running in fear of? AOC, the guillotine, the Jacobins, if you do not vote and serve those who are not yet and may never will be, at least in culture, Americans? Democrats fight hard, they say, for health care, but it's the health care for illegal immigrants, and that comes at a real cost to actual Americans. The Wall Street Journal points out that the insurance coverage plans for family plans has soared to $27,000 annually. That's what you're paying, and that's a 6% increase from just last year. But that's not the focus. Bringing down those costs, that's not the focus of the left. No, subsidizing health care in the same way they've done a college education is their focus, and that is only and always driven prices up.
The Democratic solutions have never been to directly provide. It's always been a subsidy to a middleman. But what happens is when the government promises endless funds to insurance companies or private universities without any cost controls, and Trump seems to understand this, prices rise far beyond the rate of inflation. Will Democrats recognize the poison pill that they've often placed into well-intentioned policy?
Right. Well-intentioned policies, regardless of how it's intentioned, it's poison. It's poison to us, not just to our healthcare system, but it's poison to the United States of America to constantly serve people who are not Americans. And here's yet one more example, something we've talked about quite often together, and that's illegal immigrants behind the wheel, often behind a commercial truck. Last week, an illegal immigrant was driving a semi-truck, allegedly crossed into oncoming traffic and killed a 54-year-old man. The suspect was driving without a valid CDL. He was using a suspended commercial driver's license that belonged to a family member, and his company wasn't even registered with the department.
Let's bring in Chief Patrol Agent Greg Bovino. We just heard there that you sat down for questioning. How did that go?
Oh, Sandra, hello, and thanks for having me. I've not yet sat down. That's being scheduled now. There were other Border Patrol agents that sat down with that federal judge. My time's coming here. It'll probably be within the next week to answer questions there.
How do you anticipate that going?
Sandra, we go by the law here with the Border Patrol. We've done this for 101 years now. We are well versed in everything from the use of force to Title VIII immigration law. What we do is legal, ethical, or moral. So I think that the hearing will go very well, as long as there's not an extremist judge or some craziness in terms of that.
Did anything about these encounters that some of those protesters are taking issue with, did anything about them get out of control or get out of hand or go beyond your control or go wrong?
Sandra, no. I was just out with agents just a couple of minutes ago on the streets of Chicago, and we had a protest there in the little village area of Chicago just now, and I watched our agents. They operate with extreme professionalism. They do everything right. I've not seen one instance of something that was out of control or wrong. We're well used to this on the border. Remember, a lot of this very same thing takes place on the border, and it has for decades now. So we're well versed in it, and I think that we're on good, solid legal footing.
Okay, so this is the mayor of that city on ICE in Chicago, and he is making the case that his residents are feeling scared about what is happening there. Listen.
People are afraid. I mean, that's no question there. What the Trump administration is doing is absolutely, first of all, unconstitutional. Terrorizing working people, is just absolutely abhorrent. I'm going to use every single tool that's available to me to beat back against this occupation that this administration has administered against working people across the country. And Chicago's going to stand firm.
He says that you all are terrorizing working people. What you're doing is unconstitutional. How do you respond to the Chicago mayor?
Mayor Johnson is so out of touch with his inner city. We talk with the inner city residents on a daily basis. They're glad we're there. And as far as terrorizing, if you're a criminal, illegal alien, or an illegal alien, then you're going to go to jail and be deported. You have the opportunity to use the CBP Home app, free plane ticket home and $1,000. That's not terrorizing. That's giving folks a chance to do the right thing. If they don't do the right thing, we'll arrest them. And if Mayor Johnson equates that to terrorizing, then that's his fault for, as you say, Sandra, amping up that rhetoric, which often leads to violence against law enforcement.
Well, that's the mayor equating to terrorism. The governor of the state of Illinois is comparing the Trump administration actions to the Holocaust. Listen here.
People have criticized me for talking about the Nazi regime. On the right, people have criticized me. It's the one I know most about because I helped to build a Holocaust museum. People's rights started getting taken away. People got accused of being immigrants. This is before the Holocaust really took place. What I'm saying is that this is how authoritarian regimes do it.
He's made this case before. He seems to be double, tripling down on that rhetoric. Your response?
He uses the term immigrants. An immigrant is someone that comes into this country legally, someone that we want to come into this country. We are a country of immigrants. What he's not saying, and one of the things he does that really appeals to the weaker-minded constituents in Chicago, is he equates illegal aliens and criminal illegal aliens with those immigrants. And when he does that, it's very disingenuous, and again, it causes violence against law enforcement. There's a vast distinction between an immigrant and an illegal alien. Here in the Border Patrol, ICE, and with our allied law enforcement partners, we go after those criminal illegal aliens and illegal aliens. And if he calls that a Holocaust, then he's wildly out of control. And sadly, he never seems to cease surprising me with some of that crazy talk.
Greg, appreciate you, and thanks for being here today. We'll have you back soon.